nothing new. If you look at what happens in a village anywhere in Kerala, in Goa, in any place in India, everything is used. The leaves which fall from the palm tree become the roof of the house, etc. And this is very, very important because it means that nothing is wasted, and we must understand where it comes from. It comes from the fact that when you have no resources, you really use them intelligently. And what I see, at least, very often in the process of dealing with sustainability, we have to produce components which are so expensive that one piece of one of those beams forged by Krups or something would power the energy would power a whole village in Kerala for a year, you know. So we have to stop and think. They are wonderful solutions, and I hope your center looks at them in the work you'll look at, which exist in both the vernacular architecture and also the most glorious architecture of the past. And at least for me, I've learned a tremendous lot just by looking at that. And of course, just like I said, poverty is very good for sustainability. And in ways, socialism was very good because it did terrible things in other ways. It set up our corrupt bureaucracies and politicians. But what it did do is tell us that we couldn't afford air conditioning. And therefore, in that sense, a building had to be sustainable. And if you look at the wonderful buildings of the past, the Fatehpur Sikri, the greatest, the Taj Mahal, none of them are air conditioned. It's possible to have wonderful living conditions, elegant, and also at every level. And that's what we should be looking for. So, to me, sustainability doesn't mean that I design a glass building and then ask some very clever people to find a way to cut out the heat entering the building. No, architecture starts when the very form of the building itself is dealing with the climate. So I think that's enough of a build-up. I'll just show you a few examples. This is the Alhambra in Spain. Many of you may have seen it. And we just go back a second. I'll tell you when to do the next one. I'll hit it right. You know, it's Corbusier said, a house is a machine for living. This is a machine for dealing with the climate of this harsh desert in that area of Spain and the hot winds. So the Alhambra is a huge palace, a very elegant Moorish palace, as you know, but it's really huge, heavy walls which cut out the desert winds. And inside that, of course, you have these beautiful fountains and water, which is actually trapping the dry air and then humidifying it. So it is a machine for dealing with this climate. At the same time, it creates these spaces which are very elegant and beautiful, but through actually functional means. So we must remember that sustainability starts with the very shape of the building, the shape of whatever you're doing, at least to my mind. Now, you know, in a 5-star hotel, you would get the same thing. They'll put a pool of water, they'll put these arches or something, and they'll air condition the whole thing. And it's totally different. You must, no, I'm serious. There's a reality here which makes it architecture, like there's a reality in writing which makes something literature as opposed to just prose. And we must reach those levels if we're going to produce something worthwhile. So, here's another example. This is the Red Fort in Delhi, which we've all seen. I think this is in the Agra one, I'm not sure. But you know it's a fort, and then there's on the top are these pavilions, and we've all seen those pavilions at the top, and how they're quite open, and one is for meeting the public, one is for nobles, one is for wives, one is for praying, etc. And they're unconnected except with these gardens. Now, how did they manage to live like that? The Mughal emperors, but how on earth could you live in a place like this? You can visit it as a tourist. Well, the truth is that, in fact, here's a shot right across. Oh my God, let's go back. Just go back. No, that's forward, that's backward. Back, one more. Yeah, one more. Yeah. That's the Taj Mahal there. You all know this place. Now you can see this courtyard, and there are rings at the end, and they used to stretch a shamiana across there. If you can see this section, that's how they used to live there. I see this, I'm doing something wrong here.
So you can actually forward with that.
Oh, I see. Okay. So they would stretch this cloth, and in the morning they would stretch the cloth to trap the cold air. And they would use these rooms which have little windows. That's why you see the rooms with the little windows. And then in the evening, they would come out into this terrifically elegant place, you know, with these pavilions. And then in the winter, I understand they did the opposite. They would spend the day up there like you do in Delhi. It's beautiful in the winter there and with the sun out. And in the night when it got cold, they went down. So they're using a nomadic way of living in order to create this elegant thing. And here again, this is in Kutch, in Banni. And you can see the way these house consists of several of these little, it's also a decentralized pattern. God, what am I doing? What am I hitting? I'll use the mouse, yeah. It's also, that's right, thanks. It's very decentralized. There's a wall which goes around, etc. So keep this in mind. It may be that what we do today, we want to use the same space throughout the year for everything. That's not what they did. They found a way of using some spaces in the afternoon. That's what a veranda is, etc. And some spaces in the evening. And keep that in mind. It's not just doing the conventional thing and then finding a way of cutting down the heat input. This is dealing with the climate at the skin of the building, and you all know this. This is the Hawai Mahal in Jaipur, and it's really brilliant. I mean, the idea of having these this mouse would work now, yeah. Of having the jalis, you know, which are then controlling the light and the heat coming in. But this is like the radiator of a, don't you think so, of some motor car. It's just fantastic, this huge, wonderful edifice which they've made. But behind it, of course, here you are inside it, it's a very fine stone wall, and then they make it wet in the hot weather, or they even put a chatai there and then drip the water onto it. So the breeze which comes through is very cool, much cooler, but 15 degrees cooler. Very, very simple way to do it. This is wonderful. This is in Hyderabad, Sindh, but you get this in Iran too, in Yazd. It's this is the edge of the desert, and these are wind catcher houses. You know, they catch the wind, the loo, that very strong breeze comes, and it's driven down into the basement of the house.